think I can have kids.
Joey, I know when I conceived. I know who I was with when I conceived.
I know who you were with too, and it wasn't just me.
So staying at your house and spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
Seeing him walk out of the house, he was really angry, so didn't understand what was going on at all. After that, we ended up being put in foster care. And when I was in foster care, my father had left.
I met him first and foremost, of course, and ended up being his babysitter for his second child that he has, Adrian.
But now you're dating him and actually having his other babies, right?
The tension is palpable as the court comes to order. The court session begins with the judge asking everyone to be seated and Jerome announcing the case of Curtis versus Buckley. Miss Curtis is in court to prove to her ex-fiancé, Mr. Buckley, that he is the father of her 22-month-old son, Xavier. She argues that his denial has not only broken their family, but has also left her and her son without a home. You won't believe what's coming up next.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Curtis versus Buckley.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Miss Curtis, you say this court date extremely important to you. You're here to prove to your ex-fiancé, Mr. Buckley, that fathered your 22-month-old son, Xavier, because his denial has left you homeless and in need of help.
As Mr. Buckley takes the stand, the drama escalates. He asserts that Miss Curtis was unfaithful and is adamant that the paternity test will clear his name. The judge listens intently to their initial remarks, setting the stage for an emotionally charged showdown. Buckle up, because this is just the tip of the iceberg.
You say Miss Curtis is a cheater, and today the test will prove you are not the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Curtis, you say today's results mean everything.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up with a father. I know how important it is to have a father in your life. And Mr. Buckley says it's very important for our child to grow up with the father.
Tears start to flow as Miss Curtis shares her heart-wrenching story. She describes how Mr. Buckley's denial has forced her and her son into homelessness. Highlighting the importance of a father figure, she draws from her own childhood experiences. Mr. Buckley interjects, denying her claims, insisting he was supportive initially. Just wait, it gets even juicier.
Take your time. I know it's difficult.
With him being in and out of our life and kicking us, not only me, but his son out of his apartment, we landed in a homeless shelter.
I did not.
And I was not
True, Your
known
Honor.
as Champ Press Curtis. I was known as Resident 1625, sleeping in a twin-size bed with my son.
That's not true, Your
Sharing-
Honor. I did not kick her out.
Sharing everything with other residents in the homeless shelter.
The plot thickens with Mr. Buckley's unexpected confession. He admits to having Miss Curtis evicted, but defends his actions by saying she threatened to make his life miserable. He also shares his personal struggles with fertility, which adds a layer of complexity to his paternity doubts. And oh, the courtroom is about to get a dose of reality.
I had just had surgery.
Is that true, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, that is true, Your Honor, but I allowed her to live in my apartment at that time. I was being nice to her. She got mad at me because I was with someone else. I didn't want a relationship with her. She told me she was gonna make my life a living hell while living in my apartment, and that's why I called my landlord.
A curveball is thrown when Miss Curtis recounts the moment she told Mr. Buckley about her pregnancy. His skeptical response and subsequent acceptance add layers to their turbulent relationship. Miss Curtis insists that despite his reservations, Buckley accepted Xavier as his son. The anticipation builds as they delve into the details of the pregnancy.
So what happened when Miss Curtis tells you, I'm pregnant?
Told her congratulations. Whose is it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty much what I said.
No, you said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different, that you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I haven't done that because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
You got a car, you can drive.
You were living in my apartment. I allowed you to live in my apartment. You
And
left
still didn't
because
come
I
and
didn't want
see
to be
him.
with you.
As the story of the pregnancy unfolds, emotions run high. Mr. Buckley reflects on his changing feelings as Miss Curtis's pregnancy progressed, revealing his internal conflict between hope and skepticism. This moment highlights his emotional turmoil and longing for a child. The stage is set for an even more dramatic revelation at the birth.
When she told you she was pregnant, did you believe that there maybe was a miracle and you did father this child?
Not at first, Your Honor, no. The months continued to go along, continued to get older, and I wanted a child. I accepted Xavier as my child, even though I don't think I can have kids.
Joey, I know when I conceived. I know who I was with when I conceived.
I know who you were with too, and it wasn't just me.
So staying at your house and spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
Everyone in the courtroom is moved by the touching story of Xavier's birth. Miss Curtis narrates the emotional roller coaster of her labor and Mr. Buckley's supportive presence throughout the ordeal. This profound experience brought them closer, cementing his place in her heart. Fasten your seatbelts. A witness is about to shake things up.
So take me to the day you gave birth.
I was in labor for 13 and a half hours. Mr. Buckley was with me for the whole 13 and a half hours. Pictures of him at the hospital.
I'd like to see those.
I ended up having to have an emergency C-section. because little Xavier's oxygen level dropped and he was in distress. And when I woke up and they wheeled me by the nursery to see him, Mr. Buckley was standing there with tears running down his face. That was the moment that I fell in love with Mr. Buckley.
Just when you thought you'd heard it all, a witness steps forward with a bombshell. Mr. Buckley's friend, Ms. Bunch, accuses Miss Curtis of being promiscuous around the time Xavier was conceived. Using a detailed sketch, she claims to have had a clear view of Curtis's comings and goings. The courtroom is abuzz as these accusations fly. The next few moments are crucial.
You can't say what I wasn't.
She is extremely promiscuous. My witness here can tell you a little bit about that later, but...
So you're saying, sir, in addition to your doubt as it relates to your own medical challenges and not believing and being told you would not be able to father children, believe that Miss Curtis was very promiscuous?
Correct, Your Honor.
Legal intricacies come into play as the conversation turns to the implications of Mr. Buckley signing the birth certificate. Despite his doubts, Buckley acknowledges his responsibility towards Xavier, influenced by his emotional bond with the child. As they grapple with these legal ties, the room braces for the DNA results that will change everything.
So you're on the birth certificate, Mr. Buckley.
And I have proof of that too.
I'd like to see that. Are you currently paying child support?
I'm on
No,
child
he quit his
support,
job so
Honor.
he wouldn't have to.
I'm working right now. I'm missing out on
Just
work right
started.
now. I just started back.
Father's name, Xavier Buckley. That's you.
Correct.
You signed it voluntarily.
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats as the DNA results are finally revealed.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
Oh, baby.
Can you believe this drama unfolds right at the start? The episode kicks off with Jerome introducing the case of Ramos versus Edwards. Ms. Ramos strides into court determined to prove that her ex-fiancé, Mr. Edwards, is the father of her 1-month-old son, Xavier. She claims that once she announced her pregnancy, a parade of women Mr. Edwards was secretly seeing began questioning Xavier's paternity. Strap in, because the drama is just revving up.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Ramos versus Edwards.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Ramos, you are in court to prove that your ex-fiancé, Mr. Edwards, fathered your 1-month-old son, Xavier. You claim that after sharing your news that you were pregnant with his baby, women he was secretly cheating with started coming out of the woodwork trying to convince him he's not the dad.
This next part is a real jaw-dropper. Ms. Ramos vents her frustrations with Mr. Edwards' continuous lies and manipulations. She recounts their roller coaster history, highlighting that they were once engaged and had reconnected after years apart. The relationship took a serious turn around the time Xavier was conceived, despite a brief fling she had with an ex after things initially cooled off with Mr. Edwards. And just when you think it can't get more tangled, wait until you hear Mr. Edwards' side of the story.
Own infidelities. You say you brought a bombshell witness who will reveal the truth and seal your case. Ms. Ramos, you say you're fed up with his drama. Tell me why.
I am fed up with his lies, his manipulation. He does this to other people. I'm not the only one. How can you deny such a beautiful baby?
So what was the nature of this relationship? I mean, you said that you were engaged.
We known each other for years before.
Things get even spicier here. Mr. Edwards lays out his doubts about being Xavier's father, pointing fingers at Ms. Ramos' supposed infidelities and the mysterious shift in her due dates. He drops the bombshell that Ms. Ramos admitted to a fling with another ex just around the time Xavier was conceived. She confirms it, but insists it happened before she and Mr. Edwards reignited their flames. Buckle up, because the courtroom is about to turn into a battleground.
So you all were in a serious relationship.
Yeah, but then
But you admit you had sex with an ex of yours.
Right. When I spoke to my doctor, and she told me the date that I conceived was way before the time I even had sex with my ex.
So, Mr. Edwards, you now are informed that she had sex with one of her ex, and this is what leads you to doubt?
That and other confessions.
You won't believe the curveball coming next. The spat heats up as Mr. Edwards accuses Ms. Ramos of sleeping with a relative of his while pregnant, a claim she vehemently denies. Judge Lake steps in to unpack the relationship dynamics and the nature of family ties, emphasizing that family isn't just biological, it's also who you choose to call your kin. The tension is about to skyrocket. Stay tuned.
You have extended family, you have your village that's your family, and sometimes you have family through marriage.
But I also disagree, because them two don't even get along. They've always been beefing, they'd always been fighting, they'd always argue. They wanted to fight each other.
Okay, so let's just say for the record in this courtroom, that sounds like family.
Right.
Grab your popcorn. This moment is pure soap opera. Mr. Edwards denies being Xavier's father, contradicting the joyful facade he presented in the birth photos at the hospital. Ms. Ramos counters by showing these photos in court, arguing that Mr. Edwards' cheerful cheerful demeanor at the hospital clashes starkly with his current denial. The emotional roller coaster is far from over, and you'll want to see what's up next.
Did you believe you were the child's biological father?
No.
I have proof right here, Honor, with him being at the hospital with this big smile on his face. I'd rather that you not come to the hospital if you felt the way you felt than coming to the hospital and playing as this role if you're gonna doubt.
You presented the court with pictures.
Yes, I have.
The plot thickens even more here. Amidst their heated debate over his role in Xavier's life and her recent engagement to another man, a witness named Ms. Vaughn steps up, brought in by Mr. Edwards. She stirs the pot by mentioning rumors of Ms. Ramos's pregnancy before she got back with Mr. Edwards, intensifying the confusion and doubts swirling around. What unfolds next in this courtroom is guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat.
Mr. Edwards, you've asked this woman to marry you. You've shown up at the hospital for the birth of this baby. You gave him your last name. You've checked every box. Applies to father. After all of this, you say you're not biological father.
There was just the doubts. It was just the cheating.
Mr. Edwards, you say you brought a witness
Yes.
today? I'd
Yes,
like
sure.
to hear from that witness.
Yeah, she's only been here since around February. She's a nobody.
I'm gonna bring you
So,
up to the witness stand next to the judge.
because you're sleeping with her too.
That's what you think.
You're not going to believe this twist. The DNA results are finally unveiled.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Edwards, you are the father.
You. I want you to apologize to our son. I want you to apologize to him. As I told you since day one.
Buckle up, folks. The court session kicks off with the judge getting everyone settled and a round of hellos between the judge and those present in the courtroom. Jerome gets a nod as well. You're not going to want to miss what comes next.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello, Jerome.
This is the case of Jacobs versus Walker.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Ms. Jacobs, you claim that your world was shattered just after your 14th birthday when your dad suddenly up and disappeared. Today, you say you brought him to our courtroom to demand answers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you ready for this roller coaster? Ms. Jacobs lays out her heartbreaking tale, revealing that her life turned upside down when her father, Mr. Walker, vanished right after her 14th birthday. She's in court today, seeking answers from him about why he disappeared. Brace yourself, because it only gets wilder from here.
You'd always believed Ms. Jacobs was your biological daughter. Then on her 14th birthday, you overheard a conversation that changed everything. Mr. Walker, tell me, what happened on your daughter's 14th birthday?
On her 14th birthday, Your Honor, we were outside celebrating with 4th of July. I heard an argument inside the house.
You'll need to sit down for this one. Mr. Walker takes the floor, sharing that during the festive chaos of Ms. Jacobs' 14th birthday, he stumbled upon a conversation that flipped his world on its head. He learned he might not be her biological father, thanks to a bombshell dropped by his ex-wife and her kin. Just wait till you hear what he did next.
Why would you do it now, 14 years later, at her party, when we're supposed to be having a good time with her birthday, and you wait 14 years later to drag it out?
And then what happens at that point? The relationship ended. You ended the relationship.
That's correct.
Guess what happens next? Overwhelmed by the revelation, Mr. Walker confronts his wife mid-celebration, sparking a confrontation that ultimately dissolves their marriage. This explosive argument sends Ms. Jacobs and her siblings into foster care, with Mr. Walker relocating to another state. But hold on, the emotional turmoil isn't over.
All of this was going on at your 14th birthday party?
No, I actually just seen him walk out of the house. He was really angry, so didn't understand what was going on at all. After that, we ended up being put in foster care. And when I was in foster care, my father had left.
Grab your tissues. Ms. Jacobs recounts the confusion and abandonment she felt following her father's sudden departure, clueless about the reasons behind it. She shares a poignant letter penned at 14, pouring out her longing for his return. The twists and turns continue, so keep watching.
I actually have a letter here from where I took, and I wrote it when I was 14, when my dad actually left.
Can you read that for the court, please?
I can. Dad, I wish you never left. It really sucks that you're not here. Every night I pray that you come back. Sometimes I even pretend that what it would be like if you were still here. I don't know when I'm ever going to see you again, and it hurts. I'm kind of angry about it too. Why did you ever leave me? Why did you abandon us?
This next part is a real doozy. Struggling with the lack of familial bonds, Ms. Jacobs reveals she became pregnant at 16 to gain emancipation, a drastic step to create the stable family life she craved. This revelation underscores her deep-seated emotional strife and her desperate quest for a semblance of family. The story takes another dive deeper soon.
Yes, Your Honor.
At the time you wrote that letter, did you know your father at that time didn't know whether he was truly your biological father?
No, Your Honor.
You had no idea.
I didn't understand until I was 16 years old. It was really hard. I actually ended up getting pregnant when I was 16 just to be emancipated.
Ready for another curveball? As the plot thickens, Mr. Walker narrates the moment he caught his wife cheating, confirming his worst fears and deepening the family rift. This infidelity was the last straw, leading to further familial disarray. And guess what? There's even more to this saga.
And I called her a few hours later at her mother's house, and I said, "Is she there?" And she's like, "Well, no, she ain't been here all day." I said, "She's supposed to be at your house." I needed her to watch the children so I could go to work. So I go out looking for her, and I start out at the Walmart where I normally know that she goes, and I caught a guy down there that I knew worked with her at her job.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more tangled, the court hears about the ongoing deception and conflict within Ms. Jacobs' family, with Mr. Walker detailing his enduring struggle to maintain contact with his children amidst false accusations and separation initiated by his ex-wife. But wait, there's more drama ahead.
All the way home. So when we get there, she still wanted to fight about it. And I told her, I said, "What were you even doing down there?" And then I confronted her about the Walmart thing from her friend saying that they've been in a relationship ever since she started working there. Denied all that. And I'm like, "Well, then why did I catch you at the dude's house drinking beer with 4 other guys and him?"
Can you handle this heartfelt confession? With passion in his voice, Mr. Walker affirms his unconditional love for his children, whether or not they share a biological bond, highlighting his relentless commitment and the obstacles he's faced to remain a father. He presents evidence of his dedication to the court. The emotional climax is just around the corner.
I did confront her mother with it, and her mother's like, "5-year-old, you're going to believe everything a 5-year-old says?" And I told her, I said, where does a 5-year-old even have time to sit and think about something for an adult? She's not thinking nothing about an adult way. She's thinking how to play with her Barbies or something.
Yes.
You won't believe this twist. Revealing a recent reconciliation with her father, Ms. Jacobs expresses remorse for her previous resentment, which was based on lies fed by her mother. This poignant moment reveals the depth of misinformation and its profound impact on their relationship. But stick around, the heartfelt revelations aren't over.
Do you believe you are Mr. Walker's biological daughter?
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Walker, I have to ask you, what are your other doubts?
All my doubts together goes all the way back to in my childhood. I was probably 6, 7, maybe 8.
Here comes the moment of truth. The DNA test results are disclosed.
When it comes to the paternity of Miss Aisha Jacobs, Mr. Walker, you are Aisha's father.
Right off the bat, the courtroom is buzzing with anticipation. The case of Ramirez versus Jordan is introduced by the court officer Jerome. Miss Ramirez has brought her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Jordan, to court, claiming he denies paternity of their 4-month-old daughter, Mila. She hopes the DNA test results will compel him to take responsibility. Buckle up because this roller coaster is just taking off.
This is a case of Ramirez versus Jordan.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Ramirez, you have dragged your ex-boyfriend to court because you are tired of him denying your 4-month-old daughter, Mila. You're hoping today's results will make him finally step up.
Early into the session, accusations are already flying back and forth. Mr. Jordan asserts he is not Mila's father, claiming he was not near Miss Ramirez during the time of conception. Meanwhile, Miss Ramirez explains her struggles, raising Mila and her other 2 children without any support from Mr. Jordan. Strap in. The ride gets even wilder from here.
You claim to have evidence to prove that you were nowhere near the plaintiff during the time of conception, and therefore you cannot be Mila's biological father. Ms. Ramirez, you say Mr. Jordan does nothing for Mila?
He was not there for the pregnancy. He wasn't there for the birth. He's never provided diapers, wipes, formula, nothing. I take care of not only her, but my other 2 children as well.
Things heat up even more in the courtroom. Miss Ramirez accuses Mr. Jordan of abandoning his responsibilities, while he defends himself by emphasizing his involvement in the lives of their other 2 children. The dispute escalates with personal accusations and claims of infidelity. Just wait, it's about to get even juicier.
There hasn't been help for at least over 2 years now.
Are you avoiding responsibility, Mr. Jordan?
No, Your Honor. I'm just here to prove that Mila's not my baby. She's a liar, pathological liar. We have 2 other babies together, and I've taken care of Levi and Adrian. Like, I've stepped up. I've changed their diapers. Like, Adrian was here for 7 months. I took care of him. I do everything for them.
As the plot thickens, grab your popcorn. Miss Ramirez argues that during Mr. Jordan's visit to her state, they had unprotected sex, which could have led to conception. Mr. Jordan denies this, presenting a pay stub as evidence that he was working in Georgia during the alleged week of conception. The atmosphere is charged, and you'll be on the edge of your seat for what comes next.
The week he had came to visit, he was coming down with a friend. During that time, we were having unprotected sex. I had told him that I wanted another child with him. He's even said that, if a woman says that, they want another child or a child with him, he feels the need that he has
What?
That's not true, bro.
Yes, he
Don't
has.
pay attention to that. Your Honor, I just want to say also, when I broke up with her, I had found like sex messages.
Here's where the plot twists again. After some contradictions in her statements, Miss Ramirez admits to also having slept with another man shortly after Mr. Jordan's visit, but claims it was protected sex. The court scrutinizes the credibility of her timeline and her interactions with other potential fathers. Brace yourself, there's more to this story.
A week after he left, I did sleep with someone else, but I did use protection and he did pull out. But that was literally a day and a half later when I took a pregnancy test.
Your Honor, there's no way, and on top of that, she said that she had actually slept with someone before and she thought she was pregnant by another guy when she was talking on the phone, so.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I never said that.
What did she tell you, Mr. Jordan?
She told me that she thinks she was pregnant with some guy, like she just happened to tell me. Mike, okay?
Now, the truth begins to unravel in unexpected ways. A witness, Miss Amari Gilliard, testifies, complicating the case further. She reveals that she was the babysitter for Mr. Jordan's child and is now his girlfriend and pregnant with his child. She also indicates that Miss Ramirez admitted to her that another man might be Mila's father. The twists keep coming. Don't blink now.
State your name for the court, please.
I'm Amari.
And what's your last name, Amari?
Gilliard.
Gilliard. Thank you, Miss Gilliard, for joining us. How do you know Mr. Jordan and Ms. Ramirez?
I met him first and foremost, of course, and ended up being his babysitter for his second child that he has, Adrian, a few months, actually, while he was in Georgia.
But now you're dating him and actually having his other baby, right?
As emotions hit a peak, things get real. Emotions run high as Miss Ramirez and Mr. Jordan discuss their complex relationship and co-parenting challenges. Miss Ramirez expresses her desire for Mr. Jordan to be involved in their children's lives, while Mr. Jordan questions her honesty and intentions. The climax approaches with the DNA results up next. Prepare for a bombshell.
It has been determined by the court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.